Welcome to our review of Backdoors and Breaches, the cybersecurity incident response card game. I'm Elena.
I'm Jeremiah, and we're doing this for a class project in our secure development. I hope you're going to have a fun time learning about this. Every time we looked for something like this, it was either an hour long or didn't explain that much. We're here to standardize it.
First, what you're going to want to do is start by shuffling the cards and separating them into the 6 separate piles according to their color. And then you're going to want to establish a team of defenders who will be playing the game and a game master who will be leading the game.
First card the DM draws is the initial compromise. With the initial compromise, it tells us how they get into the system. So what I've drawn is the phishing email. And the DM has to make a whole story on how it got into the system, such as Stacy, the secretary, got a phishing email. The next card that the DM draws is from the pivot and escalate. Pivot and escalate means that how are they going to improve into the system? How they escalate. After initial compromise, they still have the same privileges as Stacy, the secretary, but it improves by having local privilege escalation. So basically, it just grabs all the passwords from the system and moves up higher and higher until it gets to at least admin privilege. From that, they can almost do anything. Next and third card that the GM figures out, gets, is the persistence. With persistence, it tells us how does it maintain control. Even if they got through the phishing email, that's just once. But if you get into the system, you need to find a way to have a backdoor into the system. What we've drawn is adding a new user. It will have admin privileges. Next is CT and exfiltration. With exfiltration, we want to know how the attacker grabs the data from our system and takes it out from our systems. Defenders need to figure out how does it exfiltrate. We can make the story of HTTP as the exfiltration, such as they are in the system, the new user can send out data and put it into a HTTP format so it can be undetected by the local firewall. Here we have injections. Injections add a bit of randomness to the game. This happens not that often, but it's a treat if we ever get it. An example of injection would be Bobby, the intern, kills the system reviewing. So that means that the tool doesn't work and you have to try again. The first card for the defenders that they can draw from are the procedures. The procedures are the tools that help this the defenders from defend against this attack. An example would be isolation. They segment the systems and defend it from certain things, such as if an admin doesn't really have privilege on every system, it just has admin privileges on one system or one compartment. What the GM would do to start the game is to draw the cards, not to the knowledge of the defenders.
Yeah, and the defenders can either be made up of one person or a team that all works together and collaborates to find out the best defense strategies to go against the cards that the game master pulls.
Next thing the GM would do is figure out a story with the 4 cards that they have drawn.
Okay, so The game master is going to narrate a story based off the cards that they pull, and the defense team gets to pull 4 of the blue procedure cards that they get to use throughout the game. And these can just be faced up so that your whole team can see them, and that you can pick and choose which one you want to use to combat the specific cards that the game master has. And the game will be more fun the more creative that the game master is with their story, although you don't want to say all the details to give all the cards away. If you create a story around it, it kind of puts it in a real life scenario that will help you with the educational aspect of the game.
Stacy clicked on a link and it made the whole system go out of whack. There were new users added and there was users deleted from the network. And from that, we do not know what happens after that.
Okay, so with the information that I was just given about the attack, it's pretty vague, so I have to just use my imagination to see what I can do to get more information. So out of the cards that I have, I think I'm going to choose the User and Entity Behavior Analytics card. Because I was informed that there are a lot of new users that are logging in, which is kind of suspicious to me. So I want to check out those logins and see if I can use this to combat the initial compromise card. Okay, now to see if my card is going to work, I have to either roll a d20, which we don't have currently. So we're gonna use a random number generator to see if this is successful or not. And the way you know is that if you get an 11 or higher, it's a success. But if you get a 10 or below, the card fails. Yeah. So we're gonna go ahead and roll. 13, which is a success.
With a success, that shows that the initial compromise was a phishing email. The DM will make a story and say, oh, the new user, well, you know that the new user it started from some new users, but you figured out that Stacy was clicked on an email with that, and it created a new user right after that. You can set the point of origin with that. That happens when there was a success. But what if the defenders fail? For example, with a phishing email, things might go not as planned, and they rolled a 10 or lower. After that happens, this tool will be locked for at least 3 turns. So we're gonna flip it over, and every turn it flips over once, and they get to unlock it.
So, since I have 4 cards to choose from, I could have picked something else to go against that initial compromise card. So hypothetically, say I go with the Security Information and Event Management Log Analysis card, because I want to check my logs and see if my team is insured to handle this type of thing, if they have the knowledge, if we've practiced handling these type of scenarios. So if I use this card, we might have a different outcome once we roll.
For the phishing email, a correct tool that can be used is the SIEM log analysis. With the SIEM log analysis, it will be correct, so we're going to add a +3 modifier to the roll on which they're going to roll. So with the +3 modifier, even if they rolled a 9, they would fail. However, with that +3 modifier, we can increase it to a 12, and we increase it to a 12 and they'll succeed.
Okay, so say I successfully turn over the initial compromise card, regardless of which card that I use, and it's a success. I still have to turn over the 3 other cards if I want to win the game.
So for next part of the defenders could be if they rolled a nat 1, a nat 20, or if they rolled 3 fails at a time. So with the injection cards, they add a bit of randomness to the game. With this injection, we can see Bobby has kills the system that you're working on. So for that, you automatically lose. The defenders will automatically lose a turn for that scenario. But some injections can be good, such as it was a pen test. If it was a pen test, the defenders automatically win the game. That's great.
So you win the game by turning over all 4 of the cards that are related to the cyber attack, but you'll lose the game if you roll a total of 10 times and still don't have all 4 of those cards turned over. So I hope that was enough to get you at least started in playing Backdoors and Breaches. And now we're going to say a little bit about our perspectives and our views of the enjoyability and the ability to educate that this game has. So I don't have a ton of knowledge about cybersecurity attacks or defenses, so I'm kind of viewing this game from more of an outside perspective, and I think that makes it a little more difficult to get into the game, because if you don't know a lot about what the cards do, it's kind of hard to know when to play them or what to play them against. However, it does kind of get the conversation going and talking. So if you have a good game master, they can explain to you a little bit about what these cards do, and then you can learn a bit like that. But it's more beneficial if you were to do your own research or just learning on your own time before playing the game, so that you can more effectively work with your team on choosing what cards to play, or if you're playing by yourself, to know what cards that you want to play. And I think it'll be a lot more enjoyable as well if you can help contribute to the narrative of the story.
From an insider's perspective, it's really nice. It introduces a lot of new tools that your company has could have had, or some old tools from other organizations, and see what they do in the systems, and gives a more in-depth field onto it. With the injections, it gives a more realistic point of view. Some tools might not work, which is heartbreaking, but sometimes it will be a succeed with the modifiers. With the injections, there's always going to be a bit of randomness when it comes to these tools. Some tools don't work and we waste some money trying to figure it out, but some are really good and actually do their job. When it comes to training, when it comes to the fun aspect of the game, it would be from an outsider's perspective, would be like a 1 out of 5 stars, because it wouldn't be fun if no one knew what they were doing. It relies on conversation rather than actually doing anything. Than doing anything. From an insider's perspective, it would be a 4 out of 5, because it provokes new, enjoyable conversations that could spark interest in this topic, especially if the whole team knows what they're doing. It makes it a lot more fun.
I hope you enjoyed our review of Backdoors and Breaches, and we give you enough information to play the card game yourself.
Alright, so with our major, I've been told time and time again with mitigation. It's not a matter of if, but when the attack happens.